Do, 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 do. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Kaijunaut Variety Hour. Hopefully, everyone's having a good night wherever they may be. Or if you're one of my friends who lives across the country or across the world, good morning, afternoon, whatever it may be. This is a little, what's the word, impromptu? Or this is a spur of the moment kind of thing, mostly because I just wanted to hop on stream, have a good time. If any other of my friends want to join, I'll be posting a link in the Zim Discord for any of my people who want to come and join me. Boom. All right. So I put the link in there. And if you've seen the channel and one of my recent videos, which covered the topic of kaiju storytelling, I had basically talked about things such as using kaijus as protagonists, and also the subject of having human involvement in the kaiju story, whether or not that's necessary, and or can it be done without humans and things like that. And we already have on one of my good friends here. Hey, Minecraft World, how's it going?
Hello. I was just in voice chat with Kuru and Nico, and I'm writing my own kaiju story at the moment, the Light in the Black Lake story, which fitting because of the topic of the stream. So yeah.
Is that one separate from the flash fiction one? You're on.
This one's separate from the flash fiction. This is the one that I did for the horror story.
Nice. And then we also have Nico here.
Sup, boys?
How's it going?
Good. Just thought I'd show up because why the hell not?
Yeah, it's always good to have you.
Also, pardon some of the noise. I'm playing Pokemon Fire Red for Switch. And Gary just kicked my ass.
Alrighty, so today's topic is going to be kaiju storytelling, basically open discussion. In case no one here has seen my video on it, like my basic take is that you can tell any kind of story with a kaiju character, and humans are not necessary for it to either work as a story or even be a good story.
Yeah. I partially agree with that because obviously silent storytelling can work. I think the one thing that you do need to keep in mind with a kaiju is scale. Something to demonstrate how big they are, whether it be an object in the background or something that they've bonded with. But I think if you handle the monster correctly, you could pull it off.
Mm-hmm. And before Nico, if you want to go, here's Kuru.
Yo. He's horsing around, boys.
All right. So, what do you think, Nico?
Oh, about like kaiju storytelling?
Yeah, like using them as characters, and like, do you think a story without humans would work?
I'd say that it kind of depends, honestly. Like, it depends on what it is, and like how far you would like to go with it. Like, I'd say it could work, but at the same time, like, humans are like, there's a reason why humans are involved in the first place. As like, again, like Minecraft said, like in sense of scale as well as like relatability.
Mm-hmm.
But like of course, like there has been like several like gods. There's been like a few Godzilla centric stories like in comics where like he was like focused on him alone, like Godzilla in Hell being one, which managed to work really well.
thing is, like, with Godzilla in Hell, that worked because it kept the sense of scale. In fact, like, the two, I think the first 3 issues took place in a city-like environment, or had Godzilla in a city-like environment. And then you're comparing Godzilla to creatures that are much smaller than him but still have a grand scale. I believe the second, am I remembering in Hell's Order correctly? Issue 3? No, issue 3 was the one where he fought Space Godzilla.
Yes.
So 2, 3, and 4 have Godzilla in some city-like environment at some point, so that gives the audience a sense of scale throughout the story, or at least keeps that in mind. And the angels themselves in issue 3 are human sized, supposedly. So you still get that sense of grandiose scale with Godzilla. And then issue 1, he's next to a mimic nuclear reactor, so you get that point of view. And then issue 5 is the one where you have the least of it, where mostly everything there is bigger than him. And even then, you still have the bat creatures, which I believe we get a moment where we get to see how big they are.
Oh, like by the end of
Like-
issue 5, they were like pretty smaller than Godzilla.
Yeah, in Hell worked because it still kept that scale intact. Same with Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Half Century War.
Is this from
Yeah.
Half Century?
Yeah,
Let's
that's
see.
Half Century.
That's Half
War.
Century. That's Half Century War.
Same artist for issue 1 though, but that's Half Century War.
I think, yeah, the thing is, comics specifically, you can tell shorter stories in very strong moments of time. With writing, that's going to be a little bit more difficult.
Oh, is Zim in the
Oh,
stream?
Lord.
The president
Also,
not,
of the
not to
mystery.
brag or anything,
There we
but
go.
I happen to have a soft paperback of the entirety of Godzilla in Hell, which is kind of out of print now.
I have the entirety on digital, so
I own it through the Unnatural Disasters collection.
I also have that physically. So, yeah.
I
think
don't
Baz has
own
that
any
too.
copies myself, but I always see them in the comic shops and things like Barnes and Noble. They have a good supply of like Godzilla omnibuses and collections that I've been seeing more of lately.
Yeah. Sim, look at what he have here.
Kuru, what is your take on kaiju storytelling and if humans are necessary?
It is very case dependent. It is for me. It depends. It also like it's very case by case basis for me. I can't give like a one size fits all answer because I would need to know like, well, because I would need to know like what exactly is the entire premise? How anthropomorphized are the kaiju going to be? How are you going to tell the story? Is it going to be through dialogue? Are the kaiju going to talk or are they not? Like all that stuff's important.
Mm-hmm. Seems like Atomic Convoy agrees that it depends on the story. And then let's see. Open question for everyone. Is there any, what you would say is like the go-to example for, let's say, a story without dialogue that's told mostly through visuals and is able to still have like good emotional depth and even like great pacing or action or whatever the case may be?
Gee, I wonder what Primal.
What's this?
Yeah.
I was gonna mention the Redman Kaiju Hunter comics because most of them don't really have dialogue.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fantasia.
Oh,
I mean, in a similar vein to Primal, The Rite of Spring tells an emotionally investing story with just music, visuals, and sound design. No actual speaking because dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
The dinosaurs go rawr, and then the Stegosaurus dies. Cinema.
And then we all cry.
Yeah,
Also,
Okay,
you
so
can't forget about Prehistoric Beast.
that too. I think, in fact, I think. Oh,
Wait, you're
you
talking
go.
about Phil Tippett's Prehistoric Beast?
Yes.
Oh,
oh,
okay.
that's a good classic. That's a good one.
I don't think I've ever seen that, which is surprising.
I know what we're gonna be doing like before we get into our other movie. Like since it's really short, it's a really short.
Yeah.
Um, trying to think
And
of
also,
other
yes,
things.
it's how it's
Oh,
I am.
I have only seen clips of it, but from what I've seen, Flow.
Oh yeah,
I've
Flo.
been needing to watch that. I've been needing to watch that.
Yeah, I brought it up in my video on the topic of what we're discussing here today, and that was met with high praise last year. I think it won I believe it won the like Oscar for best animated film.
Yeah,
I think
rightfully
it did.
so. Rightfully so. The film looks immaculate, and and even if I haven't seen the whole thing, from what I get, from what I have seen, yeah, no, this is pretty successful at telling a full story without dialogue. It's good. It looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I heard like it's got a Criterion Blu-ray, so it did something right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those K-pop Demon Hunters, let's go, baby!
Hell yeah. But like with kaiju, that is really the big thing you need to keep in mind. How big are they?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, that's something mentioned a lot. Scale. I think that's
yeah,
like the key importance of it.
that is part of why I would say GXK, for the most part, falters in this regard, is because most of the time when the kaiju are on screen, we barely get a sense of how big they are, and when we do, it is very contradictory. Why are those trees that big? Why is the skeleton that big?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back in the days when it was releasing, I know it was like something we all brought up here and there on any given stream, and something that I did see a lot in the community on Twitter, things like
Yeah.
that. Everyone's always bringing up how well
Yeah.
does that film give a sense of scale. I personally would say right now it does an all right job for the most part, with a few segments that do falter, mostly in a few ways, mostly things like movements and like weight and how it's portrayed. I think environmentally, every environment the kaiju is in does give that sense of scale. Because like I never feel like, oh, I'm just watching people. But sometimes the weight can ruin that suspense of disbelief and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
or that immersion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that also goes into like one thing that I think I want to talk about is with scale is things like environment, and we all brought up different examples for stories that do well with like without dialogue and visuals, um, things like comics, animation. Do you guys think there is like a perfect medium to tell those kinds of stories, or does it like is there a good way to vary it?
It would be comics, I would
Yeah,
say,
it would be
because well, maybe comics or animation, because it's like those are kind of the go-to examples. Not saying it wouldn't work in live action. Hell, 1 million years BC got it pretty well, even with cavemen that really only speak their name and random grunting noises or whatever it is, where you can't really understand the dialogue, but it's like 1 million years BC got it right, so you can make it a live action film length story.
I don't think there
Mhm.
really is a best.
But
It's just again one of those things, but isn't a best or worst medium. It is just another thing where I am like, it depends what store. I have learned something is that when I am like talking about this stuff, I need like context is very important to me when I am making these kinds of judgments. even when I'm like critiquing films or something, I'm just like, I want to know like the context. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously the context would be the premise. For example, I think World of Hyperfauna, my stuff, would be animated because I think that is just the best medium for it.
Mhm. Yeah, same with Neos Goddess of Monsters and my Gamera trilogy. I would imagine those being animated films. Um, the Arrival obviously has the CGI aspects, and even then, Titanus Gojira has been expressive in the past in all 4 of his theatrical appearances, as well as in Legacy of Monsters. Um, Godzilla Legacy, I'd imagine being an animated television show. And then obviously Light in the Black Lake, I'm writing, but if that were to be adapted, I would envision that as an animated film. The only one that I would say I would go for live action is Antediluvian Park. And even then, you're dealing with animated creatures.
Yeah. And would you say you depict them through stop motion or
Yes.
yeah?
In my head, Antediluvian Park would be very similar visually to a lot of like classic dinosaur movies, specifically The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and actually, no, not The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Sorry, specifically The Lost World and King Kong.
Yeah, I was
Those
gonna say,
two in
wouldn't it fit
particular.
Lost World better?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Lost World and King Kong. Specifically those two, because Beast has its own very specific language that is a bit newer in comparison to those classic films.
Yeah, because I think before then you had Willis O'Brien who was doing that work for
Yeah,
both Lost World, and then he
Yeah.
passed on his work to Ray Harryhausen, I do believe.
yeah. So
Yeah,
Lost
right.
World, Creation, and King Kong, and I think a little bit of Ghost of Slumber Mountain in there too.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Oh yeah.
I still need to rewatch the Lost World movie.
that would be a good group watch. The Lost World.
Mm.
Yeah, I've never watched it in full myself. I've never really gotten into like those types of silent movies.
The 2
Like I've
silent
watched a
movies
few.
I've seen were Nosferatu and Phantom of the Opera.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see. So we were talking about the best form, but going back to kaiju, how would you guys define the term kaiju?
Strange creature.
Strange. Are we going really a creature in the modern lexicon? I would describe it as a large creature that is more than just a big animal. When harking back to an older stream, the Kaiju Punk stream on Zim's channel, there's a reason I said I would argue that Clifford the Big Red Dog is a kaiju, because Clifford has more character to him than just acting like a typical dog. Sure, he does. Sure, some kaiju are more animalistic than others, yes, but there's always something more going on than just big animal destroying stuff. Nebula is blind and therefore has his personality centered around that blindness. He's mostly standoffish but will attack if need be. However, he can be reckless because he can't see anything. Let's see. Raiga is more so no nonsense. I'm going to kick this. I'm going to kick your ass in no matter what. Gaiatima is more so mechanical, but still, like, I guess the best characterization is like, Gaiatima is very similar to Gamera, minus the eccentricities, if that makes sense. And I could go on for a lot of other creatures, but it's more so like they have character traits, not just physical, but also like characteristic personality traits that distinguish them from something like the giant spider, which just moves around and does spider things, or the
It's whatever a spider is.
or what is it? Shit, I'm trying to think of another example. I like tarantula. Obviously, I mentioned that one, but like, yeah,
Mm-hmm. What about you, Kuru?
What was the question again?
How would you define the term kaiju?
Similar to Minecraft, you need to be a creature of size comparable to a multi-story building that is also shown to have a higher degree of mental faculties than like and is also shown to have a higher degree of thinking. No, I wouldn't go with that because there are some examples of kaiju that aren't like that.
personality maybe.
Have some semblance of character, although it is worth mentioning the worst of the kaiju that we ever see tend to not have that, i.e. Kumanga and Kamakuris.
Mm-hmm.
They're just giant bug or spider.
Yes,
Mhm.
it's why I hesitate. Kamakuris and Kumanga get a pass. However, stuff like the tarantula from Tarantula and the ants from them, I do not consider kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are just large examples. It's why, after thinking about it, I don't consider Rudy a kaiju.
Well, of course, he's a dinosaur. He's like an abnormally
No,
large.
yeah, Rudy. No, because Rudy is meant to be just like a dinosaur in universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there are
Oversized baryonyx, but a dinosaur nonetheless.
that is the general rule of thumb. However, there are obvious exceptions, as there always are.
Mm-hmm. Like,
Yeah.
like if I may, Rhedosaurus, I'd say, is a prime example of this because it has other aspects to it beyond its base animalistic instincts. It shows curiosity at the lighthouse, as well as reacts in a malicious manner when shot at. And it's not actively trying. It's more so like avoidant. It'll attack if provoked, but it's not seeking destruction
Mm-hmm.
in a way that an animal normally wouldn't, or even King Kong has those different aspects to him that in a lot of ways differentiate him from normal gorillas, which themselves are incredibly characterful. Like, need I say anything?
Yeah. For me, my term that I came up with for my previous video was a kaiju is essentially an abnormally large and or powerful animal. And I think that base term is where you can start to like apply to different characters that you want to determine if it's a kaiju or not. Because Kuro, you say that you don't consider things like the giant tarantula a kaiju. Personally, I would disagree with that because for my terms, it's an abnormally large thing, and I think that that would put it in that category of kaiju.
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
something else is that a normally powerful part. I think that is a case by case basis, which is why I use and or.
I would like to state that the definition of kaiju has been sort of muddied because of its memification in recent
has.
years.
The definition has. It's become significantly. So, one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like speaking to that, like the memification thing, over the years I've seen like different videos cover the subject, and like I've seen one where it's like, oh, kaiju is strictly Japanese made monsters, or things like, you know, simple animals like can't be kaiju, or they have to be this specific way, or they dump everything in, you know, like the whole Western kaiju thing.
Again, it's another example of, and I hate to say it like this, but when it comes to defining a kaiju, it is a you know it when you see it type of deal. But I do think there are some rules. However, those rules and the definition have gotten a little muddied. Because I do think there's a difference between a giant monster and a kaiju. Like I've always kind of had that difference. The ants from them, that is a giant monster. Godzilla is a kaiju. Anyways, I actually gotta go. I'm gonna go eat dinner. I might be back on. I don't know.
No problemo. Thank you for coming. If there's nothing else you want to show, feel free to, just head out and eat.
I'm still working on the Gogmazios video. I'm having the script looked over right now before I continue working on it. I'm also trying to figure out how I'm going to go about editing it, but it's coming along slowly. And with
Alright.
that, go watch the Omu Musume movie. It's in theaters right now. Please, 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 please.
All right. Do you guys want to, let's see. So I guess let's just go back to the last thing he said. Do you guys agree with him on that? Or do you think there's any objections you have to his last
No,
take?
yeah, I agree with that. I think it's just kind of like, you know it when you see it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I guess I never really considered the ants from them a kaiju. Like, I mean, maybe as a group, but like, nah, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have to agree with you in that sense because let me see if I can find. I'd have to log into Twitter on my computer, but a while ago I made a post that went semi-viral to where I was asking, "What's your favorite type of monster?" I put as the categories critters, which is basically anything like the Gremlins or like the critters from the Critters movies.
I
And
still
then
need to watch those.
yeah, they're good movies. I recommend them. The next thing was humanoid or human-sized creatures, so things like xenomorphs, predators, or any other raptors from Jurassic Park. The next one was large beasts, and my example for that was things like the graboids, and any other like large mammals, but nothing too big. And then the next one I said was like kaiju, I think. What do you guys think about that categorization I had for that?
Yeah, I think that makes a bit more sense. I mean, like, critters speaks for itself. What were the others? Sorry, I was zoning out.
Humanoid or human sized, and then large beasts, which is like graboids and things like that.
That makes sense. I would say there is a differentiation between something like a big creature, like a large beast, and then what would be a kaiju or giant monster. Because, like, large beast is, like, moderately big. Like, graboids are big, yes, but they're not, they're not to the scope of like a whale or
Yeah.
which
Yeah, the sure as hell ain't kaiju.
yeah, so like if it's comparable to something like a whale or a sauropod, I'd say that's a cutoff line.
Okay.
In size, I mean. In size, I mean.
Yeah, I get you. So, like, do you think, so you would say that it's reasonable to have, like, a size cutoff for what you determine is either, like, a large monster or a kaiju?
Kind of.
Would you say it's also, like, to scale of whatever, like, the animal is supposed to be, or... Because, like,
maybe
there's things like mutations and things like that. Because you say you consider Clifford a big red kaiju, but we're going by the size thing. He's no bigger than like any whale. I think it depend the kind of whale, or
I think it really like depends on the whale. Like if you're comparable to a humpback, I'd say that's it. Because like Clifford would be. Granted, again, that's also the different metrics because I also had the personality thing in there, but Based off size, I'm trying to work this out.
Yeah.
Somebody say something while I process this information.
Well, yeah. Well, because like Kuro before he left also said like his definition was like he mentioned things like story, like has to be comparable to like a multi-story building or something like that. And I think I can somewhat agree with that little line of definition. Because like again, I like graboids. I don't consider kaiju because they're like as big as a truck or something like
Yeah, like
that.
literally like as big as a car, if not bigger, and I wouldn't consider
Yeah.
that kaiju.
And then like because I brought up the 2 scale thing because if you think like because like I know some of us have said that like oh it can't just be a big animal and then like so what would that make do you need more to add on to like say Godzilla 98 or King Tyrannos because he's a mutation of an animal how many more steps do you have to go to make something a kaiju?
Thing is, with King Tyrannos, there's also, if I remember correctly, Tyrannos also has personality elements. Like he's able to recognize friend or foe in a way that a normal animal normally wouldn't. And even then, I say normal animal. A lot of us really tend to underestimate animals and their intelligence. Corvids are fucking insane. Whales speak for themselves. Sharks are misrepresented in every possible way.
Apes speak for themselves.
Primates speak for
primates.
themselves. Dolphins speak for themselves. They too are misrepresented in every possible way. Orcas, cetaceans, period, actually. Squids, octopi, cephalopods generally, actually, with the exception of the nautilus, which is a dumbass. And I love him. Hell, some insects are capable of doing it. Spiders are reasonably intelligent.
But spiders are arachnid.
Shut the hell up.
Hey, you know. Hey, you would. I figured you'd know that distinction better, Minecraft.
Yes, I would. Shut up.
Would you say because you mentioned things like intelligence and personality, would you say those two things go in hand, or can you have one or the other displayed in how you represent that kaiju?
I think both. It's like you can have them in tandem, but because like intelligence leads to personality. And sometimes lack of intelligence defines personality. Again, this is one that I'm going to have to remediate a little bit further on because you're throwing me for a loop, Vic.
Well, that's why we have these open discussions. Feel free to, take some time to think. Because you got me thinking. Because I'm trying to think of, what are some examples of like maybe some monsters that we don't typically see are kaiju, and asking like, well, what would make them, like what's the next step to making them a kaiju? For say the Indominus Rex, it was characterized as highly intelligent and wanting to compete with everything that was in its path. Would you say
I wouldn't necessarily distinct the Indominus as a kaiju personally. Like, yeah, she's big, but like she's about the size of like a typical theropod.
Mm-hmm. Would you say then if we increase her size, would that make her a kaiju?
Again, that's debatable. Like that is like debatable at best, personally. Like I guess it's like a Rudy situation, like like the same similar situation as like Rudy from Ice Age 3.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree that Redosaurus is in the same boat?
Yes. Wait, no. No, because I made the argument for Rhedosaurus earlier.
And then what was your main point again about what makes her a kaiju?
Rhedosaurus?
Yeah.
One, Rhedosaurus isn't female. At least I don't think it is.
Oh well. I just said her because I think I was just going on the whole Rudy point. Is Rudy female or male?
No, Rudy's male.
Maybe I'm just confusing things, but forget the genders.
Yeah. For all we care, Rhedosaurus is gender fluid.
What you're saying is you don't want female kaiju. Is that what you're saying, Minecraft?
You little shit.
Okay, back on subject.
But yeah, my point was that Rhedosaurus does display aspects of curiosity. For one, like it doesn't immediately attack the lighthouse until like I believe after a few minutes. It attacks the boat, I believe, because it bumps into it, if I remember the film correctly. It displays curiosity by stopping at the car. It eats the guy because he was shooting at him, so it was provoked. And it doesn't actively seek destruction unless, like, very specific moments.
Mm-hmm. Is the Rhedosaurus? Let's see. I probably have to find a size chart if there even is one. Is the Rhedosaurus larger than the largest known sauropods?
I believe it's comparable to like. One moment.
I think it would be best to like try to pull. It has a Wikipedia. It has a Wikizilla page, so.
It's. I guess it would be comparable to a sauropod because, like, we see it standing next to a lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's as tall as a lighthouse. Sec. 40 feet.
Let's see. It's described as being 200 feet long, weighing 500 tons.
So it's 12 meters in so it's 12 meters. 12 meters.
Let's see. What is the largest sauropod?
Yeah, no, it's just shorter than Brachiosaurus.
Really?
Brachiosaurus was around 13 to 14 meters. It's just shy of Brachiosaurus, so I would say close enough.
If it's comparable to what a real world dinosaur size is, would that like no longer make it like, anything like abnormally larger? Kind of like how Indominus is like no larger than an average like theropod?
Well, super theropod, but like.
Thing is, Rhedosaurus isn't a sauropod though. So maybe no, going back to your
But it's a
case-by-case
distant
basis-
ancestor.
Is it?
Because the scientist said that it's a relative to the sauropod he points at.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Shit, I don't remember that film. I keep forgetting.
Did you do the Harryhausen rewatch?
I did do the Harryhausen rewatch. Why is Beast
You
from
gotta
20,000
start
Fathoms
again.
slipping?
No. You're just saying that so we could go through freaking It Came From Beneath the Sea again. I don't want to go through that movie again.
We are not doing that again.
You said intelligence matters, and you said octopuses. So the octopus from It Came From Beneath the Sea is a kaiju.
I mean, there's no real argument there. Like, it's definitely big. Like, here's the thing. If the Eldako from, like, freaking Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas is a kaiju, then, like, that's, like, a null and void thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Let's see. Who was it that has the disdain towards Kamacuras?
It was
And
Kuro and I.
Kuro and you guys?
Yeah.
Those guys are, like, officially categorized as kaiju, though, right?
Yeah.
yeah, like, Agetsu means, like, they have
I really think it's just a. I think Kuru is right when he says it's a "you'll know it when you see it" basis.
Hmm. I think
Argue
I can
that some
generally
actors
agree
have
with
this
that.
quality with like tormenting poor Manila.
Yeah, maybe. But like, because again, I can generally agree with like the know it till you see it, but I think there still should be some categorization of like kaiju. And like the reason I even started this whole thing was because I had a discussion with someone, and their their argument was essentially if you remove humans from a kaiju story, they stop being kaiju. Like,
Mhm.
what is your takeaway from that?
No, because you can still, granted, again, because of the basis of personality, you can still get characterization out of them, even in a solo environment.
What about you, Nico?
I'm in the same sentiment. Like it is again going back to it. It's like a case by case basis. Like again, stories like Godzilla and Hell pretty much proved that. Like since there was like no human characters at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be in your same boat in agreeing with that. The person's main argument was that like humans are required to provide the context of what the kaiju means, or to also provide the scale.
Mhm.
And like my main rebuttal was like same thing what you're saying, but also that the depiction of scale can be shown in various ways opposed to humans, such as environments, movements, again, personalities, and like just like signifying in any other way that this is a larger than life creature or something beyond, just a common animal.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's also what got me to create one of my like latest pieces here.
Oh yeah,
Let's see,
like it was a good. I didn't mention
this
it,
one
but like
here.
yeah, you did a good piece.
Well, thank you. But yeah, these are two of my kaijus, and they're in my setting for my Hollow Earth, which so far I'm calling just the underworld, just to give it a bit of that its own personality, I guess. But
Mhm.
these are two of my kaiju, and essentially, like, do you guys think I was able to depict the scale well in this image?
Yes.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yes, because of the trees. Like, we generally have a basic idea of how big a tree is. So so having those in the background, it gives that sense of like that largeness of the creatures. Even if we don't know how big the tree specifically is, we still trees are big generally.
Mm-hmm.
So we can take a guesstimation, and then if you want to be more technical, break down the tree shape, tree height, tree color, all that to figure out what kind of tree it is. Um, and there we go. You get a lot of the kaiju stuff in there.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm. And so, like, you all would agree, like, you don't necessarily need a human.
yeah,
Like, a human doesn't need to be a part of the definition of what makes a kaiju, right?
yeah. And then I want to find another image to utilize to send to you to show an example of how
Yeah.
I've done this with
Yes, of course. If any
my
of you guys
works.
have stuff, feel free to send me if you want to show it.
I'll send
Or
it
I
to you
If
guess
you
I
just
can
want
like
to show
separately.
it,
share screen too. Like, hold on, let me see.
yeah, feel free to.
Uh,
But yeah, I just basically wanted to show that, like, you don't need humans to show off scale, and you don't need humans to define what a kaiju is.
yeah.
But I also get where they're coming from because I think, again, if you're having that specific case of what makes a kaiju and you want to tell a certain story, I think that it's important to like what you want to achieve with it, but it's not applicable in the broad sense of what a kaiju is.
And let me. So with these two, this, and then I'll send you 5 different examples to work with, Vic. I just need to find them. Find them all. Where is the Makuma one?
Let's see, Atomic Convoy. Thanks for sticking by again. Like the look of the flying one, gives off around energy. Yeah, that is Batrogon, one of my newest kaijus in my roster. Yeah, and Varan was an inspiration along with other kaijus like Chandlar.
I was about to say it looks a lot like
Yeah.
Chandlar.
Yeah, Chandlar's one of the inspirations. I really like his look.
All right, I just sent you 5 of them, Vic.
Gotcha. Another inspiration for Batragon was the Batman from X Files.
Latitude Zero.
Woo!
I've been needing to watch Latitude Zero.
Same.
Let's see here. What have we got?
Oh, Project Nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for all of those, I always want to have something in the background that gives that sense of scale. For the first two, obviously I have the helicopters in there. So you get a basic idea of the helicopter sizes and you have the bunches. So, and then obviously adding dust in that second one gives it that weight. It's like all of them have kicked up weight as they're fighting or getting ready to fight. So, and then the moon in the back is another one that I like to use because just one atmosphere, but also it's like you're so high up that the moon is very much is like illuminating the area and set piece. It looks awesome. So, and then here I have a ledge overlooking, and then I have a tank in the distance, and then the mountains, which if you have the mountains in the distance, that gives a sense of like size, because contrasting these creatures with objects that we already know as big, and then you also have Hoshi treading through the tree line, so he's obviously bigger than trees. So you have those multiple different points that you could look at that say, oh, this thing is gigantic. Then with Maguma, the next one, that one's a little bit smaller. I have the icebergs in the back, but I also have orcas swimming by. Yes, those are meant to be orcas. I don't think I did the best job. But like that gives you a sense of
they're decent. They're decently done.
Yeah, that gives you a sense of he's bigger than an orca. That is like orcas. You have a general idea of what they look like. They're about the size of a boat. So they're gigantic, and if you've seen one at SeaWorld, they're also pretty big. But yeah, or gone whaling, they're gigantic. But like orcas in the background, you have those creatures, that contrast of the monster next to the smaller sized thing that you can figure out how big it is. Also, Atomic Convoy, Maguma, my beloved. Yes, I love Maguma. I want to see him come back. And I'm generally I'm pretty happy with this Maguma design, to be honest. Like,
I think it was done really well. And there's a slight clarification, because I think what you do really well, actually, just to get the terms here for both these ones, is things like foreground.
Yeah.
So you have foreground, midground, and then background. And I think that really helps emphasize the scale as well, just so that there's like a proper explanation.
It's like I always like to have mountains or something like that in the distance, because these are monsters. And then with Gillius, the big one, Gilyu's another one. I have the Tori towards the front, and that's contrasted with the light and his eye. It's like a Tori. We like if you've seen a gated area before, you get that general idea. That's sort of what I was going for with Gilyu, in this concept piece. And so the light alone is absolutely ginormous, and then you can barely make out the silhouette of Gilyu himself.
Mm-hmm.
So you have it's that contrast of the small thing, the big thing, and then obviously like this is underground. You have stalagmites hanging from the ceilings, and that gives another idea of what you're looking at. So it's all about balancing contrast and scale, keeping in mind, even if there isn't a human present, there still has to be something that gives you an idea of, oh, it's gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of visually. I take a lot of cues from Pacific Rim, and Gaiatima has also recently helped me a lot. Both of them often utilize either the background or a foreground, always keeping the creature in scale or giving you an idea of how big they are, even in like natural environments. The breach fight takes place around hydrothermal vents, which you can guess, you can get a general idea of how big those are. And then obviously earlier in the film, we've already established how big the Jaegers are, and we saw them with like helicopters and ospreys beforehand. So you can still get that basic sense of their size.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely, you do a great job at doing that with all of your scale. And I think I just accepted your friend request on Discord, Nico. So if there's anything you want to send or just share the screen here, just let me
Yeah,
know.
I'm sending you some stuff. I'm sending you some stuff. So I'm just like copy and pasting stuff. It shouldn't take too long.
Mm-hmm. With Minecraft with Gilyu, does he control his bioluminescence, or is it like an involuntary thing
He can
with his
control
biology?
it. He can control it.
Huh.
That the bioluminescence is how I want to showcase his personality. Like, when he's angry, it's bright, really bright.
Does it
Like,
remain that color, or
it stays that
Gotcha.
color. It's just it blinks in and out. So like softer tones depending on how calm he is, and then you also have body movement. I want it so that he rarely roars. Like he only
Because
really
he's a
has.
fish.
He only really has like 2 or 3 major sequences where he lets out a roar.
yeah, I think I saw your little audio thing for the roars.
Yeah, no, I have been struggling to get Nias's roar down, but I got this thing in like 20 minutes. If you're curious,
That's
the combination I used was Garasharp's roar, Ryga's roar, and Gados's roar. So
Okay, I sent a few.
Mm-hmm,
They're uploading right now.
Ah,
It's a mix of
there you go.
old and new stuff. You'll recognize the older stuff.
Alrighty. Let's see here. There we go. This one's really cool.
Yeah, it's like a recreation of Ultraman versus Narunga from Shin Ultraman. Like it could have did a little. It could have used a little bit of work, but like I feel like I captured like what I wanted to do well. But like the houses being like smaller in comparison to Narunga and Ultraman.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
I
like
actually really like your houses and buildings. Like
Yeah, they're kind of stockish, but like it gets the job done.
Mm-hmm. This next one.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite pieces from like last year, which involves Godzilla versus Rose Biollante. So yeah, like I will confess it kind of takes some cues from like a Brandon Tenold thumbnail, but I still made it my own with like it's capturing the scene at the lake. I feel like it does like add it to the overall scale of the two really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely tell with like the waves crashing. I think you really helped with that, and then all the silhouette and mountains in the background too.
Yeah, like
Did
also
really well.
like I will say like at least for this like drawing, like what really helped me out was like seeing some scenes from like the Little Mermaid, like the climax with like giant Ursula and what
Mm-hmm.
like that like generally like help me get like a better idea like how the waves and stuff.
I think you even made a piece that was like that scene, but with Godzilla.
Yeah, it was a recent one.
Yeah. Let's see here.
This one, basically a recreation of that shot in Final Wars, but with like him versus Ava Unit 1 for like for as of now a shelved crossover idea of like Godzilla and Evangelion that isn't like Shin,
Mm-hmm.
and like basically like it's final Goji like facing off against the Avas and the Angels. And of course like
Yeah.
the characters from Final Wars are going to be involved, which you can see here. They're just like gazing over this gigantic battle.
Yeah, and I think another great example of like you have foreground, midground, and then like background there, and that really helps with scale. This really helps sell it.
And then the next one is another redraw, specifically from Destroy All Monsters, where Rodan, like, I believe he kills a dolphin. Like that's always like one of the like interesting shots. Like, oh, we never see like kaiju like hunt like other animals like that much. And of course, like Rodan being the one to like kill a dolphin is like pretty striking.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, the dolphin might be a bit too oversized, but like, hey, it gets the job done.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, this was a photo I took at when I was at college, and I just thought there was like this big old space that like I don't know if they made anything out of that space since it's been like a while since like I graduated there, like obviously. So I thought like why not have Gudon and Twin Tail just battle it out. Like a smaller variant, but like you could tell like they're supposed to be like giant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like this
Again, I do really like your style though. It's really good.
Thanks.
I know, very good work.
Thank you.
I think like all of our pieces really show that you can do scale in a lot of different ways, depending on your techniques and just what you want to show through with the kaiju itself. And like the topic, like I want to say ever since King of the Monsters came out, especially when Michael Dougherty said he wanted to do the Godzilla BC film. I think that's when the whole subject of kaiju stories without humans like started to take off, and then with things like GVK, GXK, that started to ramp up again. What do you guys think is, or like, what do you have a take on how the subject is talked about in the broader fandom?
Really, no. Really, no. Because like, granted, the fandom has a lot of ways of talking about things. Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Some more vocal than others.
Yep.
including some in the Zim server.
We'll get to that in due time.
All in due time, mental gems.
But yeah, I think I really have nothing to say on how the fandom is done, like on how the fandom tackles this kind of thing. I think really I think we need to see more of it to get an idea, like more of this concept in action to get more conversation out of it.
Yeah, because like from what I've seen, people will hold up, like they'll have a clip of Kong versus Scar King in his lair, and it'll say you can have the whole film like this and it'll work. And then there'll be this side of the community that says, no, you need the humans, you need good storytelling. And like again, like my midpoint is that you can have like both of those things and like not need humans or things like that. And I think there's like two very vocal sides of the community that tend not to they really focus on one aspect of something without looking at the broader scope of it. Is that similar to some stuff you see, or what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, it's. I mean, like that's nothing like new. Like always, there's like they should have done this, and then like I get it would work again for like if it was like a shorter story. I'm not sure if like a full movie maybe, like maybe not as long as like.
I think you could do a full movie if like because 1,000,000 Years BC managed to make it work, but and that
has like a comparatively shorter runtime.
Yeah, but I think you could pull it off.
Let's see. So we're bringing up things like runtime now, and then 1,000,000 years BC runtime. Let's see what comes. So 1,000,000 years BC is an hour 30, and I would actually say that works really well because I think like the standard 1 hour 30 is a good runtime for stories like that. And that's not to say I think you couldn't do like a 2 hour movie with it. It would just really have to focus on things like the pacing and the story you're trying to tell. Of course, I think like any story should only be as long as it needs to be. But like a solid hour 30, I think you can definitely do that. I think it has been done. And like because like I've always said, like you take a show like Primal, replace Spear and Fang with Godzilla and Kong, size up the scaling, and it works. Like that's something that I've always said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see other examples of this in action as well.
Yeah, I think like because I don't think there is one for like Kaiju, you know,
Outside like
yeah,
you have Godzilla in Hell, which again still got the scale across, and we have our artworks which got the scale across. I still want to try to build aspects of that.
Yeah, because I think like it's mostly done with dinosaurs or regular animals, and like again like the closest thing we have like is the scenes from like GXK. Like that's the first time it's ever really been done. Unless there's like either an obscure older film from like Toho or Subraya, or something like that, but nothing off the top of my head comes to mind. But again, like I think bottom line, we all agree, it could work. It depends on the circumstances and the context.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that would be probably the general consensus we're coming to. And unless there's any other thoughts or further questioning you guys have, feel free to just speak your piece, and then we'll probably end it off there for the night.
Yeah, no, that's kind of it with me. I mean, I was like, I think you could pull off a kaiju story without humans. I mean, Primo has his story. Granted, there is a humanoid figure in there, but you could still do something with that without that, as long as you have that sense of scale that still just says, "Oh yeah, these things are still gigantic as hell."
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ways to do it. Just give it a shot. I mean, Kaijuega is in a fantastic spot at this point. Now is a good time to do it.
Oh yeah. And then what about you, Nico? What are your final thoughts on the subject at hand?
Generally, I'm in the same sentiment. This sentiment as Minecraft. Like, it really all depends on like who's doing it and what it's actually going to be. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
We know what you mean. Alrighty then. So looks like we've wrapped up our final thoughts. So starting with Minecraft and then Nico, who seems to be himself, so we'll give him some time. If you want to do your shilling recommendations or anything you got going on in your life,
Check out my YouTube channel. I will hopefully be doing a stream where I let Kuru go horseshit talking about Uma Musume. I have a Nemesis character study video essay in the works and a Monster Musume video essay in the works that I will probably be writing continue writing once I rewatch the show, as well as I am writing my own kaiju story, Light in the Black Lake. I've shared the broad outline of it on Zim's channel, but there's going to be more to it that I didn't share there. So, yeah, it's not. And there is going to be some aspects of the story that I'm changing, but still. And I have other things that I'm doing. I have streams that I'm hopefully going to be doing. You can also find me on Instagram and Kara, where I make artworks and do other things. You can also find me on Blue Sky, where I post things. And yeah, go read Gaiatima, go read the Nemesis books, go watch Iron Lung. I think it should be in theaters still. I checked showtimes. It might. I saw a few theaters still have it, so if possible, go watch it there. Yeah, bye.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nico, give your shillings.
Follow me on L DeviantArt and Instagram. I try to post based content for you all. I'm also on Twitter, but I'm not really active that much, except for looking at like movie and Dokkan Battle news and all the like. And eat your veggies. Go watch just watch Jurassic Park just because, and go play Pokemon Fire Red. And if you ever encounter 05, tell them to go debate Blackaroonie. And also touch.
All right. Alrighty, guys. As for me, you all know you can find me here as the Kaijunaut on YouTube. I do different topic videos from kaiju, monsters, different films, things like that. Look forward to more live streams because I guess I'm back in the game with my new setup going on here. And of course, you can find me on things like Twitter and Instagram as the Crispy Vic or Vic Monstrous, as well as on DeviantArt. I do have my coffee page or Ko-fi page, where you can find my commissions, which are still open at the moment. Other than that, thank you to all the Kaiju Seekers and friends who joined the stream today. Until next time, over and out.